So it's another loss in Vegas and another loss in extra time. Consistent. The Flames, they
are
consistent. It's ups and downs, and I don't know why we would expect anything less. Welcome to Afterburner. There's Rob Kerr. Look at him; he's ready to roll.
Yeah,
and I'm always here, so that's
you're always there.
Anybody? Yeah,
that's right.
I'm always here. So it really felt like this was one of those games, and maybe it was because I got drunk on last night's game where the Flames, the goals came and they just start to finish looked really good. Certainly after 20, definitely after 40, 3-1 lead going into the third period. I just felt like tonight they were going to find a way to do it. I don't know why. It just felt like this was a game where they were going to be able to bring it in and take it home, but they couldn't. What'd you see in that third?
You know what? This game last year, if you played this game last year with the success that the Flames were having overall, leading the Pacific Division, I think you shrug your shoulders and you go, well, Vegas is fighting for a playoff spot. They're at home. They pushed hard in the third, got a break, that sort of thing. But unfortunately, you are guilty of the sins of your losses previous, and you are held to the victories that you have, and they blew it. And I'm not pointing fingers. It was a soft second goal. It's a goal you'd want back. I don't think the guy at the other end was necessarily great tonight either. But they are missing that we need to push element. We need something. We need somebody to go and get the momentum back. Halfway through that third period, shots were 2-1 Vegas, right? Didn't feel like it, but they were. They end up, I think, 9-1 Vegas. So you get one shot on the road in the third period, you give up 2 goals. There's nothing to, there's no moral victories. Jim Playfair once told me when he was with the Flames that if you come back and lose an overtime or a shootout, then you earned a point. But if you were leading, you're caught, and then you lose an overtime, then you lost a point. They lost a point tonight against a team that they need to get points against. Minnesota, I'm not sure. Minnesota won tonight, I believe. And last I checked, Nashville was up. So, both of those are teams on either side of you in the race. Time's running
out. Minnesota wins, Nashville leads. As we record this, that's the story there. And Nashville's in San Jose, and teams tend to like playing in San Jose. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, again, there's no moral victory here. The moral victory, I suppose, comes in the fact that really like the first 40 minutes of this game, I did. And I'm like you. At one point, I thought they were going to shut them out, and then Jack Eichel solved that. But, yeah. Sorry,
I wonder.
An excited dog next to me that
I was going to say
hasn't been on television in a while, or hasn't been on video in a while. Wanted to know why she wasn't part of it.
Yeah, here, girl. Yeah. If I'd have told you coming in after you win last night to the tune that you did in Arizona, you were going to get a point in Vegas. You just meet me in Colorado, right?
I hate that game. No, because this one tastes like you ate an onion thinking it was an apple, right? Like, you take a big bite out of it and all of a sudden, oof, that's not right. And you've got a restless fan base. You've got a restless team. You've got a restless front office. You've got a week to go, 8 days to go before, you can make any significant changes. I think Frank Seravalli from DFO was on your show earlier this week and talked about the Flames, kind of being a little unsure. The information I have leads me to believe they want to be active and add. And I'll just give you, the anecdotal evidence is you don't hire Daryl Sutter for a rebuild. So I don't see a scenario in which this organization is going to sell off assets. They may not acquire big assets, but they're not selling off assets. So this one's a little stinky.
It is stinky. It's another game because I kind of went over the last little bit because the Detroit games were no good, but since the last loss in against Detroit, they win against the Rangers, now had the lead, gave it up, won it in overtime, but led 13-7 shots in the first period, had a really good start, led 2-0. Came out flying against Philly. Really unfortunate to be down 1-0 in that game. We know what happened in Arizona last night, and shots were 18-8 in Vegas.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the process? Don't waver from it. Don't get frustrated. Don't start cheating and taking chances. Stick with it, because we are starting to see some consistency that hasn't been around for a little bit. Are you seeing some of that start to come out?
Well, I mean, it seems to me the MO all season long has been to outshoot, and certainly get pucks to the net, funnel pucks to the net. I think the argument all year has been whether or not they've been dangerous. I always use that analogy of chopping wood. It just, they're chopping. They're going to score once they, finish the hole through the crest of the goalie, right? Like it to me, they're structurally fine. Does this make any sense? They're motivated. They're not inspired. They are motivated, but not inspired. They are motivated to play their system. They play their system. And this is a really poor analogy, but I'm old and I'm going to bring it up anyway. The game tying goal, who does it go off of? Goes off of Huberdeau. And what's Huberdeau trying to do? Block the shot. Is Huberdeau a shot blocker? Is he? No, but he's trying to play the system. You will remember the famous Matthew Lombardi game in Atlanta where he flamingoed and the puck came from the point, tied the game. And I can't remember. I believe it might've been the game winner for Atlanta, and Keenan killed him in the post game. Like, he's got to block that shot. You can't flamingo and stuff like that. Christian Huselius, Jim Playfair, we need him to play tougher. What does he do? He goes and takes a high sticking call in the next game against Vancouver, trying to play tougher. You have motivated players. You do not have inspired. Well, I thought there was one player who was inspired tonight, but you need somebody. And Matthew Tkachuk was that guy last year anyway. You need that guy in the third period when this is 3-2 and tilting the other way. You got to go and mess in their end and get somebody chasing you and doing something. They don't have that ability to turn things right now.
You kind of did. So, I do. And we've kind of,
you've been down this road all year. So I'm probably saying the same thing you have.
No, you know what? No, it is different words, but we're searching for words. We're searching for ways to describe it. And Rhett has on the other show, Rhett has talked about they're just not having fun. You can just see they're missing that something. Yeah. I've kind of characterized it as they're a group of players. There's a collection of guys, and they go out and they take their shift, and then the period's over. They go to the locker room. They don't. It just doesn't seem like it's really gelled. Even the Backlund line, which has been so consistent and so good, even they were kind of off a little bit, I thought, tonight.
I kind of, Backlund got them up 3-1, right? Doing what he's done. Fourth game in a row in which he got a goal. I do feel like, because I'm, new on the scene here, that I'm still fighting a lot of the battles and the arguments that you guys have had all season long. Mm-hmm. I think it's ludicrous this team doesn't have a captain. Sorry. I've heard Darryl talk about it. I was there when he talked about it. I understand his logic. I understand what he's saying. I just don't buy it. And I think right now, I believe there's leadership on that team. That's not what this is about. I believe Tanev and Backlund and Huberdeau to some extent and Kadri all have a voice in this. I think they need, Darryl's always been the captain of his teams. Talk to the San Jose Sharks, talk to Craig Conroy, talk to Robin Regeer and guys that have played with him. That's a fair observation, is that Darryl tends to try to be the captain of the team. And I think, at this point, they've had a team meeting. We all heard about that. Eric Francis on the broadcast tonight had a conversation with Brad Treliving, and on the Sportsnet broadcast, I should give proper attribution, and mention that, talked to Brad Treliving, and he had a meeting with the team. Again, I have been told that Darryl is, that Darryl has toned down the rhetoric since the Peltier controversy, but that was really aimed at us. It wasn't aimed at the player. He just happened to take the shrapnel. So I think they're trying, but they just look. I always go back to Peter Maher once said to me, he went to one of the luncheons where the team went to the luncheons and the fans could ask questions, and the fans asked the question. And I think this was the 06 team, if I remember correctly, the one that lost to Anaheim in 7 games. And one of the questions from the fans was, who's the joker? Who's the guy in the dressing room that does the practical jokes? And nobody had an answer for it. And I remember Pete coming away from going, that's not good. That's not good. And that team was kind of labeled as businesslike. Like everything's a business trip. We're going on a business trip. This is a sport. It needs to be fun. I think Lucic tries to have fun. I think, I think Anderson tries to have fun. I think the goalies try to have fun. But right now, I think the goalies are probably, a little bit screwed up and trying to find their own game. I think Huberdeau and his agent are trying to find his game. Again, they look motivated, but they don't look inspired, if that makes any sense.
So take away these 59 games. And I'm not saying I disagree. I always remember we're going down memory lane, talking to Mike Rogers about it. Now, here's a guy who was a captain, and he said, captains, it's an important thing. You wonder sometimes what is it they do? It's just an important role. It's an important presence in the locker room. It's just a thing that is there. And if it's not there, it's absent. So take away what we know now, start of the season. If you were going to put the letter on someone, who would it have been?
I would have put it on Backlund. I'm a big Backlund guy. He's homegrown. He's developed. He's gone through a lot. I think he has a presence in which the young players would pay attention to. Having said that, I'm 4.5 years removed from being in the dressing room every day. Right. I really like Chris Tanev. Had a chance to spend some time with Chris Tanev. Really like him. I think Nazem Kadri brings you certain things. What I heard from Darryl was he felt that a Canadian market, it's too difficult and everything. And that's hogwash. This is the softest market in Canada. It is. I've been part of, and I'm part of it. I mean, I've been part of it. Francis is going to take a run at you? Cool. Vancouver's toxic at times. Toronto can be toxic. Montreal's Montreal. Edmonton's, either they're cheerleading you or they're running you out of town. I think Ottawa's the same. Winnipeg, I can't really, but I've always felt like, if anything here, the media, we all try so hard to be even, they tried real hard, but they didn't win. So I don't buy the excuse that, it's hard to be a captain in a Canadian market. I think it's, it's the way Darryl likes to run his team. And dude's got 2 Stanley Cups. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not sitting here saying I'm smarter than Darryl Sutter. I'm just saying, I don't agree with it. If given you want to turn the team over to me, the first thing I'm doing is putting a C on somebody.
The one area, and we've talked about it, and I go to Rhett on stuff like this because he would have been one of those guys in the room, whether he had a letter on his chest or not. He was going to be a leader. Exactly. He had those. 100%. He just had those traits. And when Darryl is being Darryl and things aren't going well and he's really tightening the vice, someone has to stand up for the guys or just say, "Hey, get out. We've got the room. Do something." And when you don't have that captain. And we've talked. I'll ask you again, who without being in the room, who is it? Because I'm with you with Tanev. I like the player. I don't know if he's that guy. I don't know that Backlund is that guy. Maybe Luch, but I don't know. I just don't know who it is.
Yeah. Again, I think if you polled the electorate, I think that you get a million different versions of it. And I want to be really respectful of the fact that I don't know this team as well as I knew other teams. The only guy, and it's funny, the only guy I really do know is the guy that I would put the C on. There's no, I would interpret the fact that there's no captain is that Darryl doesn't see that person either. Because again, he's a lot of things, but I've talked to players that they push and they push. He pushes and he pushes and he pushes. And then they push back and then Darryl goes, "Great. Exactly. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
It's, we talk about the different eras in hockey and we talk about old school and new school. One of the challenges that Darryl has is that these players are not brought up the same way that his brothers were in Viking. They were not brought up, good, bad, or indifferent. We are in a completely different world now. And, I remember having this conversation a decade ago. Dave Cameron, when he got hired by the Flames, one of the questions I asked him was, not Dave Cameron. Who was one of the baby bull that was the assistant? Craig Hartsburg. No, not Craig Hartsburg. Who was the assistant coach with Lowry and Brent Sutter? Sorry, I'm getting old. But he was a baby bull in the WHA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just blank.
It's okay.
I can see.
Sorry.
Anyway,
no help to you.
But I remember talking to him and saying, "What's the difference?" He goes, "When I was a kid, the coach comes up to us and says, 'You see that wall over there? Go through it. You got it, and you went through the wall.' And now you say to the kid, 'See that wall over there? Go through it.' And the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, 'Why? How will this benefit me? What does this do for me?' And that's an simplification of it. But that's part of it too, is that, these players, it's just not the same game anymore. It's just not the same game.
Yeah.
And, Daryl's excellent. There's, Scotty Bowman has said it. There's nobody better at mid-game adjustments and shuffling lines. Nobody does it quicker. Nobody does it better than Daryl Sutter. And talk to Peter Marr. Peter Marr will tell you that he had that conversation with Scotty Bowman. That's a fact. But right now, I keep going back to the fact that this is a motivated team, sure, but it's not an inspired team. I will say this, and I think I have some duties later on. I'm now a believer in Jacob Peltier. I thought this was a little bit of a coming out tonight for Jacob Peltier. For me, anyway.
Greg Millen said on the broadcast to him he was the best flame in the ice. Let's do it. I saw Mandeep was in the chat. He's watching live. Mandeep with BK Bowfort Liquor, located on the Trans-Canada Highway across from Winsport, beside McDonald's. Stop in, stock up on your way to the mountains or out of town.
I know exactly where that is.
See, right? Everybody knows where it is. Everyone knows it.
Absolutely. Or when you're coming back from the mountains, or when you watched a game like this and you don't have answers.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a lot of that with this friggin' show. We've got 3 wins in 14 games, I think.
Yes, it's the show. It's
on,
definitely the show. Oh my God, yeah. Why are the Flames allowing you this?
If you listen to the people. On Twitter, at BK Liquor. On Instagram, at BK Bowfort Liquor. It's the cheers of the game. Yeah. You raise a glass, you give the salute. I'm guessing you're going Peltier.
I am going Peltier.
Yeah.
When the team needed a little something in the third period, do you see that dangle?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was on the power play or not. That was that was a little Johnny Gaudreau-ish to me. And I have been, I've been not bullish. He's good. And I'm glad he's playing on the first. Like, to me, then they're not wasting him on the fourth line. They wasted him in the press box, and that's a whole different conversation. But they're not wasting him on the fourth line. He's playing where he needs to play. You got to play guys in their roles. I now look at him and go, oh, okay, this is a guy that's going to score some goals. This is a guy that's going to get some points. This is a guy that's going to be a part of this team if he continues to do that. That's exciting to me. What what he did tonight, second half of a back-to-back against a legitimate opponent. No, I take nothing away from the Golden Knights. They're as good as, maybe not as good as Edmonton, but they're good. I was really, really impressed with the kid.
There was one play that kind of stood out to me, or at least I took note of it, and it was at the other end of the ice. It was in the second period. He was right on Eichel's hip, made the play defensively. That's the stuff that coach is going to love.
Oh, no, that exactly. And the kid's smart enough to know that, right? Yeah. There's a lot of young kids that come up and go, well, I put up points. That's what I do. So I'm going to go put up points, and it's hard because points are sexy. Points are what get you attention from the media. But what you talked about, being able to stay in the hip of somebody like Jack Eichel and make those plays, you're absolutely right. And for this coach, any coach, that's going to make you a better player. And to me, I'm not sure what I was thinking all year long, but tonight I kind of woke up and maybe it's because I had to do this show, so I was paying different attention. But I just went, that goal, like.
And the feed
talk about their power play, like, there's some functions on this team, like that's the way this team is successful in the power play. Bomb pucks in, chase. Bomb pucks in, bomb them in on the goalie, not in the corners.
Yeah.
But you had two guys in traffic batting away, and you scored. I watched this team, and it seems like they've still got the same drawings from last year, but they're not the same players, right? If you're going to make those long seam passes like that, it can't be, got it. Where are you? There you are. Here it comes. And it just, it just seems like this team, they're not as skilled as they think they are sometimes.
No.
Did they adjust in the third period well enough? Again, they like that little chip, and they like that little backhand pass off the wall about 5 feet inside the blue line to get out. This is where Rhett Warner hockey. If you're giving up a goal, you're playing Rhett Warner hockey. It's got to go high off the glass at somebody's head. Like, don't screw around. And I just don't know if they, you remember, boy, now second time this week, I've argued with myself. Remember that 5 minutes ago when I said Daryl's the best coach at making, in game? I wonder a little bit sometimes if the players, start tightening, gripping, and, choking.
I don't
feeling like it's coming.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever good to get one shot on goal in a period. And as you said,
Generally,
they got outshot 9-1. You hate, they're trying to protect it. They believe maybe they can protect it. And at that point, they'd given up one goal, and it was a shooter's shot. It was a great goal for Eichel to put it in where he did.
Sure. It's
great when you do it. Not so good when you give up the 2 and then you're tied. You probably should have kept your foot on the gas a little bit. I was going to go with Michael Backlund for my player of the game, my cheers of the game. A lot of people are dogging him here on the chat for his line change on one of the Vegas goals there, but he's making confident plays, and it's not like it's just happened this year, but I'm happy for him. He looks like a guy who is a leader of this team on the ice. I don't think he's a vocal guy. I don't think he's going to go in and kick garbage cans and have guys be like, "Oh man, Mike's mad." I don't know that that's going to be that sort of thing. His play has shown leadership qualities to me. No matter who you put out there with them, their game elevates. And I like them today. 5-game point streak, as you mentioned, he's got goals in 4 straight. And it's not always been, luckily for him, it's no longer, or not always been, about how many points you get. For a long time it was, and that's how guys like me, that's how we graded him. That's how we gave him a passing or failing grade. But the line was always, if you could ever get Backlund in a third line center spot, how good would he be? And I think we've seen it. He's been tremendous all year.
This is his 16th year in the organization. He was drafted in 2007. He was a late first-round pick that was injured that year, so he fell. And if you go back and you look at the scouting, whatever, Central Scouting, the Red Line Report, whatever, Hockey News or whatever, projected to be a good number 2 center that is responsible in both ends of the ice. And I think, as far as Flames draft picks, he might be the best of Daryl's. Is that fair? Is Dion a better pick than Michael Backlund?
Dion was
Is TJ Brody, because he's a 4th-round pick, a better pick?
Yeah, I don't know.
But you can I think you can make a legitimate case that, what was a really scatter record, he was his best pick. Is he a guy that you raise his number to the rafters? Is he a forever? I hate forever Flame. I just want to go back to retiring numbers. But is he a guy that gets his number retired?
I don't.
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
I don't think so. Right? No. He's in that.
He's never been an all-star. He never won.
Close to being a Selke nominee, that sort of thing. I don't know outside of Calgary that he's appreciated for all that he does. I think you got to really watch the game and appreciate what it is that he does. So I don't think I'd go that far, but we talk because he's one of a number of guys who are going to have contracts coming up the next couple of years. I just can't imagine that he leaves. I don't know how he leaves. He just feels like he's got to be a Flame for life.
The only way you leave at this point is if you're tired of the act, if you're tired of the coach or whatever. Building. This is a hard place to recruit to right now. you overpaid for Coleman, and Canada's a tough place to get players to come to, and all of those sort of things. Yes, he's one that I hope retires. It'd be great if you draft him and he retires. Fantastic, but I don't know. Do you want to test the waters? I always think of Daniel Alfredson and Mike Modano in this situation. Why'd you go? Or Matt Sundin even. Why'd you go? And I think sometimes you just want to see what it's like. You just want to see what the walk to the dressing room's like. You just want to see what the trainer's like. You just want to see what the restaurants are like, or whatever. Look at me. I had a great thing, and I wanted to try something else, so I went and tried something else, and here I am back. Right.
I remember talking with Treliving about, and he said it's not 100%, and it's not written in stone anywhere, but a lot of times you'll find some of the Swedish players, they just find that spot and they stay. A guy like Nicholas Lidstrom stayed his whole career in Detroit. And then you mentioned Matt Sundin, how weird that was for him. He was obviously traded, but for him to elect to go somewhere else. So I don't know. It all falls into the same category. If you don't get a good offer, then you're going to leave. And I don't know where the Flames going to be when that deal comes up, but I can't imagine.
It's not the people watching this stream or listening to this podcast or that listen to our programs that I'm talking about, but it's other people. We're hard on these guys now too, right? Like, what have you done for me lately? My God, we signed him again. Like, he's 32. Give a kid an opportunity and stuff like that. And, nobody is ever truly loved from start to finish. And that because you covered overtime with me. They were starting to trade Jerome McGinley in 2006, right? Well, maybe this is the time to get rid of him. I said to you, was it on the air or off the air? I can't remember. But is this not proof that Mika Kiprusoff should at least have some sort of Hall of Fame conversation? I mean, you just, for 7 years straight, you just didn't worry about that, right?
You just didn't think about it. Yeah, you didn't give it a second thought.
If he let in a bad goal, right? He had the amazing bounce back after 4 goals against and all that stuff. And, I remember when it all ended in Detroit and he didn't play that game. And I think it was Leland Irving that got the start, or whoever started. It was like, holy crap. You think about what's just happened. Like, he got hurt the first year he was here. And then he got hurt around All-Star games for some reason, but always seemed to be okay afterwards. I don't know how that worked. But man, never knew how good you had it, right? And it was 2013, that lockout. He came back, he played a little bit. You look at the number of goalies that have come through this organization. Danny Taylor, anybody? It's
quite a pull. That's quite a pull. Yeah.
Danny Taylor?
You still got it.
4-1 win against Vancouver's only NHL victory.
Oh my God. Yeah. Danny Taylor. Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's not that you totally appreciated him, because he came in and he changed everything so quickly for the team, and you just watched in awe, and you knew when he was gone that you were going to miss him dearly, and God do you. But yeah, it was such a run, and you'd watch other teams. Well, who's your number one? Well, who are they going to get in free agency? Figure it out. We don't care. You got 34.
There was a period of time there before they got, fairly good. Was it the Minnesota Wild? And you'll remember this. Him and Iginla abused the Wild. Like, just abused them. Like, their records, their goals, his goals against, everything against the Wild, just abused them.
Yeah. When for Kiprusoff, it was personal because Backstrom was in the other net.
Yeah, that's right.
So Absolutely. He always wanted to beat him.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But the goaltending's not good right now. At some point, is Wolf going to get an opportunity? And I didn't think I was going to say that. I saw something this year or somebody wrote something about, well, when does Wolf get his chance? And I'm like, what do you mean, when does Wolf get his chance? He's in his 3rd year in the American Hockey League. Look at how many years Markstrom played the American Hockey League. Like, don't worry about him. He's okay. But I'm beginning to wonder if I don't know what you do. Like, You almost need somebody to get hurt, I guess, and that you don't wish that upon anybody. But
No.
Somebody grab the brass ring. Somebody grab the brass ring. And Vladar's fine. And I think Markstrom's the one that I put my effort into, and you have a whole goaltending department. So my assumption is that's what they're doing is trying to get him right. But until you get that right, you and I both know that why are you doing what you're doing tonight? Because you don't trust them, right? You don't trust them.
So you played the position. What did you
I
think
own the
of
equipment.
Well, still, but you kind of have some of the idiosyncrasies and the tendencies that you'd be able to kind of appreciate.
Yes, I've got all the idiosyncrasies for sure. Yeah.
What did you make of Vladar tonight? And you've already said he's okay. I'm more bullish. I've got some Vladar stock in this thing. I'm buying Vladar stock. I think he's
okay.
Yeah, I'm higher on him than that. But
yeah, but you know what? And I have to be careful how I say this. I didn't like the White Cloud goal. But then 3 minutes later, he made a pad save that was awesome. Yeah. Right? And here's the stat, and I think I am ripping this completely off of Pinder when I was just kind of working at my desk and listening to you guys get ready for a show. What, 9 shutouts as a team last year or something like that?
Well, none. It was Markstrom alone. Yeah, Markstrom alone had 9. So.
Right. And didn't Vladar have a pair or something like that?
I think as the season
but the team
went
has none. The team has none. And for a Daryl Sutter team that wants to win games 2-1 and 3-2, you should have a handful of shutouts in the season, and they don't have any. And I don't know. I mean, are they clockwork oranging them, where if they give up goals, they stick things in their eyes and make them watch the video for hours on end and, abuse them that way or whatever? They're not, but they're just, it's not confident goaltending, and that just spreads on the team.
You talk about things that you're kind of repeating and doing over again. I've said it so many times, with so many changes with Gaudreau and Tkachuk and in comes Huberdeau and everything, all that, so much in flux. The last thing I thought would be one of your main worries would be in net. Yep. Vladar was fine. Markstrom was great. That was the one thing that was going to carry you to victories you didn't deserve. It's been the opposite.
Vladar's 10 days from having not lost in a team record or team tying 12 games, right? I just look at the game tonight and go, and that's the one thing is, you were so hard on these goalies. I don't like the White Cloud goal. I wouldn't have stopped it. And years ago, nobody would have stopped it. I'm micromanaging it, but I do know this. Nobody's spinning on their head, spitting wooden nickels, stealing you games right now. When's the last time a Flames goalie stole you a game?
Well, you'd have to really scrape.
Now,
you'd have to
you could go the other way, and you can point to probably this past Monday where a goalie stole it from the Flames, right?
Oh, they've had a few, man. We've run out those names of Mads Sogard and Jackson Stauber and the goalies that have beaten the Flames in the last 2 weeks, and it's not ideal. And that's why you sit here in front of a trade deadline and you think, well, what about, do you need some depth on D? And all of a sudden with Peltier emerging, does that maybe back off the need to add if the goaltending doesn't improve, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, somebody's got to start making some saves, or everything else is just window dressing. We're just wasting our time. And I don't know. We're damn near 60 games in. Does it take?
Except that every morning, and I like all of those guys, and I'm not trying to be, sarcastic, but the way this game, all sports are, and anybody, you have to have somewhat of a delusional brain when you are a coach or general manager. You just do. You wake up, you cannot listen to this crap. You can't read crap. You just have to come up and find a way to get up every morning. And right now they're saying St. Louis, dead last in January, won a Stanley Cup, St. Louis. Right? That's what gets you up in the morning, and that's what gives you hope. And right now it's all hope. They need a hero. And Peltier is trying. I think there's Backlund's trying. I don't know. There's nobody on that team right now that isn't trying. But you know what they're doing? They're thinking. And thinking just hurts the ball club. They are thinking. They're not playing. What am I supposed to do here? What's my role? Who's my guy? What am I doing? Where am I going? 10-foot pass. Think. Don't screw up because I'll hear about it. And when you think, you just, this is an art. This game is an art. You need to be an artist. You need to be inspired. You need to go out. You need to perform your art. And these are not artists right now. They're painting a barn.
They are painting the barn. Warner used the word the other day, and I don't know if it's the St. Louis thing, right? And that's a hell of a needle in a haystack to cling to. If that's going to be your, we're going to emulate that.
Do you agree with that? Because you remember when Minnesota made some hellacious run and made the playoffs, right? And you know, and they came from way back, or maybe I think it was Minnesota anyway. And then for the next 4 or 5 years, well, last year Minnesota, you know what I mean? We love we have a recency bias, and I think, you know, again, if you're living, if you're whoever, and you're trying to raise these guys' spirits, you're telling them the story of St. Louis, 31st in the league in January, won a Stanley Cup. And I talked about this on my show yesterday. I'm not saying that to be Mr. Positive. I'm not saying that to be Mr. Half Full. I'm telling you, you cannot go into this locker room tomorrow and go, you guys suck, right? You're so soft in the third period. Mix in a save. You can't do that. That's not how it works. You have to build them up. And hopefully Daryl's allowing the assistant coaches to build them up, because it's not how Daryl's wired either, right? You know, Daryl's not going to pat you on the back. He's going to kick you in the ass. And right now, this team is thinking, is all those sort of things.
Just to double back, we got going there. Our cheers of the game.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Jacob Peltier, Michael Backlund. There you have it. Cheers of the game.
Just two? We don't need a third?
No,
do we have to bring anybody in from Vegas? Were you impressed by anybody on Vegas?
No, I really wasn't. Although it was great on our show. This is, you talk about jinx or whatever. The one guy that we talked about on the show today was Eichel. Rhett was saying that he used to be a superstar and now he stinks.
I dig him.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Jacob Peltier, Michael Backlund. Those are our cheers of the game, brought to you by BK Bowfort Liquor, located on the Trans-Canada Highway, right across from Winsport, beside McDonald's. Stop in. Say hi to Mandeep and his family. Sweet people, sweet folks.
Absolutely.
On Twitter at BK Liquor, on Instagram at BK Bowfort Liquor. I know that Mandeep has been giving away some prize packs and stuff. Maybe he wanted to do one this week. Sorry, Mandeep, if we forgot about it. Maybe next week. Next week we'll get after it. But thanks to BK Bowfort Liquor for being a part of the program. I'll go right to buy it or sell it. It's presented by Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group with CIR Realty. If you're buying, if you're selling, whatever the case is, let Derrick do the work for you. Email dnewman@cirrealty.ca or call 403-619-6661. The question I had down, we wondered, would Vladar go today because he had such little work last night in that win against the Coyotes? Did you see enough from him? Who goes in Colorado is on Saturday. I am going to say I'm going back to Vladar. I didn't like the one goal either, but you got a point out of Vegas. It's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, you blew a lead, but I thought he made enough saves to keep them in there. And quite frankly, they had enough chances in the first that, again, if they had a few more guys that could finish, that they probably could win that game. I'm saying get this guy on a roll. I'm still seeing enough. I would go Vladar again Saturday in Colorado. Are you buying or are you selling?
What's better for the program?
It's
because I don't mind backing Backstrom in this case. Not so much because yeah. If you hadn't said that,
I mentioned I catch myself all the time.
Yeah. No. Sorry, Markstrom. I wouldn't mind going back to Markstrom. I still believe in Markstrom. I still think Markstrom's a good goalie. I still think he can figure it out. I don't think it's Rich Ankiel as a pitcher. I don't think he's lost it. And I'm not defending the performance. I just, I would point to, and then not the exact same, but it's not uncommon. Like Connor Hellebuck was not the same goalie a couple of years ago after the Vezina, but he's back to it, right?
Yeah, he's back.
Sometimes is Shesterkin the same goal now? And those are really bad examples because they're also not at rock bottom like Markstrom is right now, which I think he is. He's at rock bottom. But I would hope he's going to want to fight his way out of it. I liked him against the Rangers. Mm-hmm. I thought he was great against the Rangers. I thought he fought really hard. I thought his game is there. So I guess I'm selling on Vladar and buying Markstrom in this case.
Sure.
Courtesy of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group.
Like, I think you're probably right. I think it's probably going to be Markstrom.
I would have played Markstrom tonight. I didn't buy any of the short flight and not a lot of work and everything like that. I think you're right, Dean. I think you're going to see Vladar against Colorado. I think Daryl's made up his mind, and Daryl's a ride-em goalie, a ride-em coach when it comes to goalies. I do. I think because he played tonight, you didn't have to play him tonight. You could have played Markstrom easily. I think he's going to go back to Vladar. I think, the next couple of weeks, Vladar is going to get the ball and told to go run with it. Right.
I just wish I felt a little bit better about Markstrom, but I still feel like,
I get it.
Him in that crease, his confidence seems to be so shaken for whatever reason. Yeah. And that the Stützle goal in overtime against the Senators, when it beat him short side, it's a fine shot, but it's probably should not be going in on an NHL goalie. And he just kind of stood up and skated off. It just, man, oh man.
Right.
You need somebody to put the black hat and be the guy that teams are like, fuck, we got to face that guy tonight. No one's fearing Flames goaltending right now.
No, exactly. And I would suggest to you that, that we've all had that thing in our head, and I'm not, again, not defending him at all. I just think that you work through it, but I think clearly he's got something in his game, in his mind. I know a lot of people go back to the Edmonton series and all of that sort of thing. We talked about the shutouts. He's clearly not the same guy. Is it coaching? I doubt it. Jason LaBarbera is his goalie coach and was his goalie coach last year. And they worked fine. He was a Vezina candidate last year. But I do believe there's something in there, and they got to get it out, whatever it is. But we've all been there. We've all had that little, you know what it's like, Dean, like, I'll give you a prime example. Part of the reason I'm not on Sportsnet anymore is Logan Couture's fault, because I was calling him Logan Couture, and I got a phone call from Sportsnet one day. Well, you're saying Logan Couture wrong. And I said, what do you mean? It's Logan Couture. And I said, yeah, Logan Couture. No, Logan Couture. No, Logan Couture. And it was a 15-minute conversation. We all agreed I was saying it wrong. I can't say it right. Can't. It's in my head. I see the jersey and I start chewing the words, and I cannot say the name right. And that happened to me. And it was a thing it didn't cost me, but it was a real issue for me because we had this long drawn out conversation. I could not hear it. I couldn't hear it. I thought I was saying it right, and I could never say it right. And it became a problem, and I chewed on his name, and I chewed on his name, and I chewed on his name. We've all got examples of that. We're human beings. And I think Markstrom right now, it's that early shot. Don't let it in. Don't let it in. Damn it. It went in.
Yeah.
Now what are we going to do? Right. And he has to answer the question about it. The one thing I like about this group, and I know we've been crapping all over them, for the most part, they're accountable. Nobody hides. They've all these guys have come out and worn it, and all of that. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I just, they're a conundrum wrapped in a riddle.
It goes back to what you said right off the start. There just feels like there's something just not jiving quite right. And it worked last night, but it's I don't know. You can't, they haven't won back to back.
right? Who did it work against?
I know,
perfectly
but
honest,
they were
right?
what 9-game point streak, and they've been playing pretty good at home. I
Sure.
get that for sure. It's a month now without back-to-back wins. That's not how you get back into a playoff run.
No,
But
and you remember when they started this, it was them and Edmonton, right? Just both kind of falling off the face of the earth. And there's Edmonton again doing Edmonton things. Well, they've straightened it out, and God help everybody if they find a way to get Carlson. There's no stopping them. And I still think, honest, I see this. There's been really some very nice things said about me all week, and I appreciate that. I'm about to say something that's going to change all of that. I see this team getting deep in the playoffs if they played as they are, who they are. They are not.
About the Oilers.
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm talking about the Flames. They are underachieving at such a level that it's impossible to see success, right? It's impossible to see success. That's what I'm saying something right now that nobody's buying. And is just my stock is they're selling me for Newman Dean's real estate group now. Yeah. But understand, nobody watches this team ever and goes, "Oh wow, good on them. They sure punched above their weight class tonight." It's why didn't they make that save? Why didn't they do this and everything like that? Our expectation for this team, you said it right at the beginning of the year, right? Should be the Pacific Division champions. Goaltending won't be a problem. And the last year I did TV, the first Bob Hartley, that was hard to do. God love him. Chris Butler's a nice guy. Lance Bohm, a terrific human being. But that was, oh my God, you tried, I lost my job because that team sucked. Right?
I thought it was Couture.
Well, that didn't help either.
Who was it? Logan,
Logan Couture. Yeah.
I
know. Yeah. And no, but my point being is this team is it should be leading this division. Jonathan Huberdeau had the same number of points as Johnny Gaudreau last year.
I know.
Nazem Kadri had we're not asking for things that are impossible. We aren't. But
if the goaltending is a little bit better, if the power play is a little bit better, because remember last year Daryl talked about it. Our goals, we said, we wanted to be top 10 in goals for, goals against, power play, penalty kill, that whole thing. Well, the power play's been 25th, 24th, languishing in that for the better part of the year. And we know we've talked about the goaltending. If you can get the power play to click a little bit more, and I'm with you. The only reason is we've been saying this, and that's what Pinder has been saying.
Yep.
After 10, 20, 30, 40 games, continuing to hang on and because you can see
definition of insanity, right?
They played
definition of insanity.
This was game 59, where it feels like if it happens, that's awesome, but I don't know.
And ifs and buts and candies and nuts, we'd all have a great Christmas. But if they hold that 3-1 lead and they win this hockey game 3-1 tonight,
feeling a lot better.
They turned the corner. They got their goalie. Oh, this Peltier kid. Michael Backlund may get 50 yet. Don't worry. I mean, there's still games. I've seen this movie so many times. You need to get in. This team needs to get in the playoffs. A, it needs the revenue. It's the reality of the situation. B, it's the coach. That's what he's here for. I wouldn't give up my first round pick, but I'd probably give up some other assets to add to this team. And I'm hammering away and I'm hammering away and I'm hammering away. Okay. Now, doesn't get in, I'm unemployed. Right? I get that part. I understand that. But this is not, there's no scenario in which I see everybody going, all right, let's see if we can get Connor Bedard. That ain't happening.
We'll wrap up Buy It or Sell It there for Derrick Newman of Newman Dean's Real Estate Group, CIR Realty. If you're buying or selling, let Derrick do the work for you. Give him an email, dnewman@cirrealty.ca, or call 403-619-6661. Very nice guy. A very good guy.
Awesome.
He's in very good shape. I'm just not a fan.
Is he?
Yeah, he's tall and lean. And
is he young?
The clothes look good on him. He's one of those guys. It's like, oh, that's how clothes are supposed to fit and look.
Does he wear sweatshirts a lot? Like you and I?
No, collared shirts, nice
Collared
pressed
shirts?
collared shirts. Yeah, he's a professional. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, he's an all right guy.
All
Now
right.
you mentioned get it in, or well, to get into the playoffs.
Okay. I didn't know there was another
Pucks,
segment called Get It In, because I try
Yeah.
all the time.
Because if the Flames get in, this could be a first round opponent. Did you see anything out of Vegas, or do you see Vegas
They
as
don't
an
scare me.
insurmountable
No.
force in
No.
a 7-gamer?
Today, no. But I know Kelly McCrimmon, and I know, credit Ryan Leslie and Sportsnet. I think they played a clip of Bill Foley off the top, their owner. I'm not Joe Namath, but we're going to win a Stanley Cup by year 6 and all of that. I don't think this isn't the, I want to stay in this position so I can play them because I can roll them in 4 games. No. But they're not, their goaltending isn't good enough, right? I like Laurent Brossoit, by the way, former Flame draft pick. He's a little Curtis McElhaney for me in the sense that he's, bounced around. He's been a really admirable, backup, but I don't think he carries them. Are they
He's
getting
no Danny
Thompson
Taylor?
Danny Taylor. No, he's not Danny. Will you please bring up Danny Taylor tomorrow to Ryan?
I'm always cautious about what I bring up to him, because then I just never know where he's going to go with it.
No, but do they scare you? I'm respectful of them. I'm absolutely respectful of them, but they don't have Connor McDavid, and they don't have Leon Draisaitl. They have Jack Eichel, and they have, Pietrangelo and things like that. And they're good. But if it's not a bumbling, fumbling Flames team, if it's a team with confidence playing inspired hockey with a goaltender on a roll, with a Peltier now with 30 more games under his belt or whatever it is, and with Huberdeau feeling his position and Tanev healthy, I'd go 7 games with them. But boy, again, ifs and buts, candies and nuts, right?
There's something still about them, and it started in year 1, and it's always kind of been there for me. You watch this game through 2 periods, and you're wondering, leading the division, where is it? How is it kind of all coming together? Because you're right, Logan Thompson, who you wouldn't have guessed would be a number 1, he's out. You lose Mark Stone, your captain. That's a huge loss for them.
Yep.
But as a team, again, we talk about, are they a team? As a team, they've come together and have absorbed those losses and find themselves leading the division. I don't know if they win it, but
this is the phone call that I think is made to Kelly McCrimmon tonight by Bill Foley. Hey, Kel, did you see what Washington did tonight? Yeah, they traded Orlov and Garnet Hathaway to Boston. Go get Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, Brian, it's Kel. You're not moving number 8, are you? My owner wants to know. But they're going to do something. They're going to get somebody. If you remember in 2004, Brian Burke's Canucks, they bought everybody at the trade deadline. They got like 6 guys at the trade deadline and loaded up. And then Calgary beat them in 7 in overtime. That's what it feels like. There's a lot of ownership issues in this league that just don't get talked about. That's one of them, right? Like, he's putting pressure. So they're going to bring some guys in. Are they going to look a week from now? What are they going to look like? Who are they going to be?
Yeah, I don't know.
But they don't scare me right now.
You mentioned Garnet Hathaway. I feel like that guy was born to be a Bruin. One of the guys that, when you think of all the Flames or players that the guy that slipped through your fingers and you wished you would have kept, and at the time, so you can't pay that guy north of $1 million, 1.2 or whatever it was to be your 4th liner. So he's maybe not a 4th liner, and he's probably
the world has too many accountants. Way too many accountants. And there's some good accountants. I like accountants. I have nothing against them as a people, but there's way too many of them. And the problem with this organization is it almost seems like they get seller's remorse 6 months later. They flip Berchi to Vancouver, and then 4 months later, the GM's going, we have no skill on the wing. Well, you had skill on the wing, young skill. You traded it. You get rid of Garnet Hathaway. Man, we need some grit on the 4th line. We gotta find somebody who can go out there and bang body. You had it, right? I like Garnet Hathaway. I think it's a great story. I think the Flames, kudos to them for finding him. And I agree with you. Born to be a Bruin. He will.
He's going to
fit
be
in there.
so good there.
And I think Orlov is going to fit in there too. I think, again, so much subterfuge out there right now. Oh, are the Bruins in on Shen? Are they, can they do this? Are they looking at, Parayko or whoever? And all of a sudden, were you talking about Orlov? I know, in fairness to Mr. Pinder, he did bring up Garnet Hathaway's name. He was talking about him.
Well, I think he was saying because he was going to be an unrestricted free agent,
right?
In the offseason sort of a thing.
Right.
But here's the thing with Pinder. He says everyone's name at least once or twice a day. Everyone on the planet.
That's how you do it. That's the
just
Eklund system. Right.
It's a constant
E5.
He reads the phone book. I swear, it's just a constant stream of names. Oh, this guy. I told you. And then 2 or 3 days later,
and he goes to poor Princey afterwards. He goes, make sure you edit all those names in there so we have them, so I can pull it real quick when he gets traded. See, I mentioned his name.
See, I told you. What'd you tell you? I was talking about him the other day. Well, you talked about every.
Well, it's like being a weatherman in San Diego. It's going to be nice today. If it's not,
be all right.
Right? If it's not,
so
it may be a busy trade deadline. But it may not be either.
It may not be. Yeah.
The Flames may go big game hunting. And then again, they may not.
May just stand pat. Yeah.
They may just stand pat.
They had a lead in Vegas for more than 2 minutes.
Yep.
They got a point in Vegas. Baby steps. Baby steps, I guess.
Not good enough. Not good enough. You need to hold, this team needs to be held to a higher standard. It doesn't need to be ridiculed and mocked. It needs to be held to a higher standard. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting back into the swing of things here, but, we can make the jokes. We can do all of this sort of thing. We can talk about Darryl. We can talk about everything. They are not a smart team right now. They are not an inspired team right now. And they're thinking too much. And they're just hurting themselves by thinking. And you got to go out and enjoy. You got to be an artist. And you know what? If I once had a guy, mentor said, as bad as it is, don't ever do this job and then just leave everybody. Wow, it's terrible. It's never going to get better. You got to give hope. You want some hope tonight? Give you some hope. Jacob Peltier. Jacob Peltier gives me hope.
Our next episode of this thing, I'm just looking.
This is over? It's not over, right? We can still go.
We can. It's 57 minutes. So we've flirting with a record here, Rob. It'll be after.
When I did this would be when we take our first commercial break.
Yeah. Colorado Saturday, they come home. They have Boston on Tuesday. Garnet Hathaway and the Bruins at the Dome on Tuesday. Then the Leafs.
Who I'm interested to see is Pasternak.
Dude is going to get paid. Man, is he? He's one of those. I just feel like if you were in Boston, you'd appreciate how much you'd appreciate him, because we do from afar. He's wearing goofy stuff. I just feel like you'd love to have him on your team. He's going to score 60 friggin' goals. He scores big goals. He fits in like a dirty shirt with that group.
Yeah.
And look where he was drafted, right? Late first round, or whatever you want to call it, late to middle first round.
Yep.
Love that player. Already turned down 8 times 8 or 10 times 8 or whatever the hell it was. Yeah. He's got some balls. I don't mind that.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the new age player, right? And I
totally,
think that it's kind of what we're talking about here. Is I'm not sure that really you want to embarrass me in front of the rest of the team. That's what you're going to do. Is that how you think you're going to inspire me by coming in here and mocking me in the second intermission? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think these kids put up with that crap.
So it'll be Tuesday night after the Boston game. Our next edition of
Why not Saturday? What do we do? What's the problem on Saturday?
Strategy, Rob. It's all strategy.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a big game, and they're 6-0 when we don't do this show. So,
you're welcome.
Yeah, I know.
Have you notified the Flames? Like, do they know this?
We'll try and keep it under wraps. They don't need to know. That's not good for anybody. And I believe
shout out.
Yeah.
Right.
5-11 in extra time after this, 4-8 in overtime, 1-3 in the shootout. You know what? Go back to the whole thing. Just a little bit here and a little bit there. Keep everything the same.
But that's what keeps them moving forward. That's what you're selling to this team. You're not selling to this team your crap. You're selling this team you just had bad luck. They don't believe it, but that's what you're selling.
No.
Right?
How's it feel? When's the last time you did one of these?
Would have been 2011. 2011, I would have done post. I haven't done, real posts like this. I haven't done since 2011. It's different. I mean, everybody's so kind, but it's also nice in the sense that you either want to watch this and you want to be part of this or you don't. And I think with the radio, people always kind of felt like, well, they're forcing this or this guy, I like this guy, but I don't like. Here, people make a decision. So I feel like you're with like-minded individuals already. But I got to tell you, I've loved it. I've loved every second of it. The freedom is it's just awesome.
And we haven't even got you in a spot yet where to succeed. It's just been because we're still just trying to figure out where to sit. Which chair are you going to sit in? Like we haven't even got things going. But for people that are listening to Afterburner, obviously you see Rob this week. He started his brand new show with FlamesNation, Just a Game, which is a throwback to many years gone by. Yeah. And we were figuring out today, well, he's going to have a guest in studio for an hour. So where are we sitting? Where are we putting the cameras?
Perry's co-hosting tomorrow. Hockey legend Perry Berezan.
There it is, Perry Berezan.
He broke Jim Nils' jaw, right?
I heard that. Yeah.
That's one. Yeah. One of the things, I've never been able to do this. I think we're going to be able to play the greatest goal in Flames history and have him walk us through it tomorrow. We've always talked about it, but we've never ever been able to kind of show it and walk through it. Scored the biggest goal in Calgary Flames history.
Have you now, because on your screen, are you seeing the comments? Have you got the comment thing on your screen connected?
No.
This one just came up. Love the show. Love Kerr. You would be honored to know that there have been many people chiming in. Where's Brass Bonanza? I feel like whenever you do this, we need to get the Brass Bonanza on after a victory.
I'd love that. I don't know. Is that a rights issue here? I don't know. I don't know if that's in the public
domain. Beg for forgiveness, anymore. Rob. Beg for forgiveness.
Absolutely. I mean, yes. Oh, the good folks in Hartford are going to come.
Oh, is that really? You can't do that. Oh, sorry.
Well, it's it's scientifically proven that it's the greatest hockey song ever, and it'll change whatever the issue is. It will change your outcome and your outlook on life by playing brass. That's science, and you don't argue with science. I do want to acknowledge this. Dean, you've been really kind to me, and we talked about Just a Game. That was the name of my show almost 22 years ago, and I abandoned it when I moved to Calgary in 03, and Jason Greger turned it into something pretty amazing up there. And it was kind of your idea to go back to it and all of that. And I was really honored that a couple of guys that were, and you talked about driving with Mooner and listening and stuff like that. You remember we had an eclectic group of callers, but it was all family. And in Edmonton, we had one guy who's Chris the Flames fan, and he would call in and he'd get abused and all of that because it was Edmonton and stuff like that. He has listened religiously ever since and was first guy to listen to the show on. Harold the Habs fan from Edmonton. And these are guys that, 20 years ago plus started spending their time with me and are still listening. So I'm deeply honored, and it's really, really cool. And thank you. And, it was really fun to kind of get back here and just kind of do this. I don't feel very prepared. I just kind of was rattling crap out of my mouth but here we are.
Yeah. Just a Game. Like, subscribe, download the podcast. Obviously, with Afterburner, you subscribe, you can get it automatically downloaded. It's on your phone. You Bluetooth that thing to your car. It's there for you on the commute to work or however you choose to take it in. So good to do this with you, man. I don't know the last time
this is fun. This,
but as they said, the return of Kerr-Boom. If anyone was, I'm not sure how many people were clamoring for it, but there it was.
Well, my mom apparently was. There you go, eh?
Thought it was only after a loss or after a win.
I'll take it. Right.
That's Afterburner, everybody. Flames lose. See you next week. Night.